Now, I know that some of you will be disappointed that your particular favorite composer, whether it be Liszt or Chopin or Puccini or Tchaikovsky or Ravel or any one of a number of others, did not make it into the top 10. I really hate to disappoint anyone. So to them I say, tough luck. The truth is, your particular favorite was obviously not good enough in terms of the criteria used for selecting the top 10. But maybe the truth is you can't handle the truth. There are some composers who aren't on the list who might have scored highly on one factor, say originality, but who did not score highly on the other factors such as depth and originality or historic significance. Igor Stravinsky was one person a lot of people mentioned as a contender for the top 10 on account of his originality and influence. But after you mention the Firebird and the Rites of Spring, there really isn't all that much else to say. In short, he did not have the depth and range of the other composers in the top 10 list. And also you can find the roots of his music in the dissonant works of Richard Strauss and most particularly Claude Debussy, or Debussy if you prefer. Now conversely, one of the composers who does not appear on the list of the top 10 is someone who scored very highly in the depth and range of his output. This was Johannes Brahms. I know a lot of people might have been surprised and disappointed that Brahms was not in the top 10. Quite frankly, I was also quite sad not to see Brahms in the top 10, because I believe that he was one of the most expressive composers who ever lived, comparing with Mozart and Beethoven in the depth of the feelings he expressed through his music and the eloquence with which he expressed them. I'm particularly fond of his Third Symphony. That was just one of a number of beautiful pieces of music that Brahms wrote. But what disqualified him in the end from being one of the top 10 was the fact that he did not really add to the language of musical expression in the way that all of the other top 10 composers did. Brahms remained very much within the vocabulary handed down by Haydn, Mozart and Beethoven. And even though he produced wonderful work within this vocabulary, he was considered conservative even by his own contemporaries. Nevertheless, he was a great composer, as were a number of other people who did not make it into the top 10. Among the close contenders who almost made it were Felix Mendelsohn and Sergei Prokofiev. Both these composers produced outstanding works, but not as many as the others in the top 10. Prokofiev was a very fresh voice, and still is, in works like his ballet suite Romeo and Juliet. Of Mendelssohn's work, I particularly like his Hebrides suite, mainly I think because I have spent quite a bit of time in the Outer Hebrides Islands off the coast of Scotland and fell in love with the stark beauty of the place. Here is a snatch from the Hebrides suite. Among many others considered for this list was Aaron-Copland, who captured the spirit of the American Midwest through pieces like Appalachian-Spring, Rodeo, and Billy the Kid. His music had a big influence on Leonard Bernstein, among others. Here is an excerpt from Appalachian-Spring, based on a shaker melody written in 1848, and also known in England as The Lord of the Dance. But even though Copland had a big influence on 20th century American music, his repertoire was fairly limited, and he owed a lot to Claude Debussy and, some believe, to Charles Ives. Now there is a whole raft of composers who produced one or two outstanding pieces, or maybe even more, but not much else. One of those is Carl-Orff, the composer of Carmina Burana. That is the end of the series. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I hope you will continue to enjoy the music of the great classical composers, even the ones who are not included in the top 10 list. Thank you and goodbye.